Okay, you guys, you may have been seeing this guy pop around a lot. His name is Rudy Farias, and the reason he's popping around a lot is because he's been missing for 8 years and he was just found on June 29th, 2023. But what makes it even crazier is that he really wasn't missing. His mom had been keeping him trapped like a slave, making him quote unquote play daddy, and kept popping him up full of drugs. So let's get into how this whole thing unfolded in the last week. So in March of 2015, he was out walking his 2 dogs when he never returned home, but his dogs came back. Kind of weird to begin with, considering they're not really that great at finding their ways back home. So his mom reported him missing, and basically she was concerned that maybe he went adrift because his brother, here pictured here, had just died in a motorcycle crash in 2011, and his father, who was a police officer, committed suicide in 2014. So in the last 3 years, that kid went through a lot. So he had depression, anxiety, PTSD, and she was afraid he wasn't taking his medication and somehow went off into La La Land. Or at least that's what she told everybody. So 6 days later, the police call off the search. They had looked for him, they couldn't find him, and the case kind of went cold in a way. Until June 29, 2023, when a man found him lying on a set of steps outside of a church. He was said to be unresponsive, so they called 911, and the police identified him from his necklace he was wearing, which was his brother's, that his brother used to always wear. So the police see this necklace, they call the mom and say, "Hey, listen, we found your son," and everybody rejoices. Well, maybe everybody except for Rudy. Because unbeknownst to many of us, maybe myself included, today was the first time I'd actually heard of Rudy, but this group here with 20,000 Facebook members is a discussion group based on the mysterious disappearance of him. And they start sounding the alarms on the mom almost immediately. For example, he refused to have an ambulance take him to the hospital, so instead his mom and another counselor took him to a hotel. The mom begins, sending things out to the reporter saying, "Oh, he's very badly bruised and beaten. He's got dried up blood in his hair." All this horror story of basically that, she's telling them that he must have been in some sort of human trafficking event and he escaped them, right? And she starts posting pictures of him, getting the medical treatment that, he deems to be needed. But that Facebook group starts showing pictures saying, no, these are the same pictures of him from March of 2012. And then things get even weirder because neighbors of Rudy and Janie, his mom, begin saying, "He hasn't been missing. He's been over our house. He's been living with the mom the whole time." Back to the Facebook group, they've been concocting a scam on a GoFundMe page, which has since been removed. And this neighbor, Keisha Ross, actually said that she was surprised he was reported missing. They had no idea he was missing because he would come over, hang out in her garage, and with her son and her daughter and her cousin. She said he's never been missing. He would just go right back home across the street. So they're in this hotel, they're trying to get information out of Rudy, but he's not really budging on anything. He's not saying anything, curling up in the fetal position, and he's really not, releasing a lot of information. So the counselor kind of picks up on some stuff and he says, "Hey, Janie Santana, why don't you just go on outside for a moment?" And then Rudy sings like a canary. So Rudy goes on to say that basically after his mom left the room, he said that she used to make him sleep in the bed with her, give her baths, make him play daddy. She would pump him full of hallucinogens like mushrooms and such. And he just basically said that he was tired of living like a slave, and that's what made him run away. And this guy saw him outside the stairs of the church, thank God, and rescued him. In the reporting, the counselor goes on to say that basically he tried to sneak out of the bed and she said, "No, you can't sneak out of the bed. You've got to stay here and play my husband for me." And basically would make him bathe her and all sorts of other crazy stuff. Essentially, this kid has been being tortured for the last 8 years by his own mother. An interesting tidbit to the story is that this actually might be him who showed up to a restaurant, and they basically said the guy looked kind of rough shape and he was, he didn't really have anything going on until somebody bought him a meal. After that meal, he left, and this was actually right before he was found outside the church, if this ends up being who he was. So as of now, that's all we know. This is what's going on with him. His mother has yet to be arrested as the making of this video right now, but I'm pretty sure that if all this ends up being true, that's likely to occur, and Netflix is more than likely to make a documentary about it.